Hi, I'm Ashley. Today I'm going to be doing another chromatic, I think that's how you pronounce it, watercolor brush pen tutorial. So these are my watercolor brush pens. I've transferred them now to the jar so that I can see the colors easier and not deal with those plastic tubs. So this is tutorial number 2, and they have this pad with the pre-sketched very lightly pre-sketched. I don't even know if you can see it on there or not, but it's really lightly pre-sketched, and we're going to be doing the Pear today. So join me as I follow their tutorial. All right, we're starting our next chromatic brush pen tutorial, and this is a Pear, so I just have the pre-sketched paper that they provided in this tutorial pad, and then I looked in the description of the video and picked out the colors that they said that they used in this video. So I'm just going to use the same ones, and we're going to jump right in. All right, so it gives me the information about what I'll need. So I have a palette, my water pens, and then some water and the brush pens. And then it gives just a little idea of kind of the shading. There's shadow and highlights. And I have already watched this video through, so I have a little bit of an idea what we're going to be doing. And I know that these 2 colors are for the stem, so that's later. I'm going to move them so I don't get confused. Okay, so the first thing that it says to do is take this yellow, it's marigold color, and paint it onto my palette or a glass plate or whatever you have. So it wants me to do that. And then this is how we're going to create a light wash with the watercolor brush pen in an easier way, basically. So after I do that, then I can take the brush pen and add a little bit of water, mix it up, and then just do a light wash. Oh, it says don't use water yet, or don't use the color yet. Okay, so I guess I'll use the other brush so I don't use that. And it's basically saying to put water all over it except for the highlighted part. So let's do that. And you'll see like a little bit of a sheen. Ah, pause. Too fast, too fast. Okay, so let's go around the edges here. And I'm not super concerned about being 100% inside the lines. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but if I hold it up and kind of wiggle it around, I get a sheen, but there's also a little bit of a puddle up here, and I don't want a puddle, so I'm going to move that around. Make sure I don't have puddles, but make sure it is shiny in the areas that I want there to be paint. So just leaving this kind of, there's an oval right here for a highlight, but making sure the rest of it is nice and wet without being puddly or sopping wet. I think I mentioned this in the last video where I followed one of their tutorials. This paper is actually really good. It soaks in the water really nicely and stays wet for a while. So that's kind of nice that they provide you with some decent paper. Okay, then we take this and go around this edge with it and just kind of add a little bit of that color here to the wet areas. just take this and kind of blend it out. And basically do the entire pear except for that area. So everywhere that didn't have a highlight, I'm basically coloring in with the brush pen. It's a little bit hard to get enough of this color. It's very pale. I feel like it's not enough, but we'll go with it. Oops, there was something on the palette. It was not on the pen, it's just on the palette. Okay. I feel like it needs to be just a little bit darker, so I'm gonna try to add in a little bit more of this color. The brush pen definitely works better on dry surfaces. Kind of like when it gets wet, it kind of, the color goes away. I don't know if that makes sense, but it doesn't leave the color, it kind of soaks up. I don't know. I can't explain it, but it definitely works a little bit better on drier surfaces. So now that this paper is drying slightly, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more of that color on here, which is exactly what I want. So I'm just trying to get a little bit more on the edges, and then I'll go in and blend it back out. See how much brighter that is when it's not wet. There we go. I think the problem was my palette was a little bit wet, so I was swishing around water with the brush marker. Okay, now let's do this part again, where I drop some of the water from the brush pen into that wash and then just kind of blend it out. And then still kind of focusing on keeping that area of highlight. And just kind of activate that line that I put down there. And blend it out. It's a little bit scrubby, I guess, to get it to blend out. If you put it on kind of dry-ish, but it's not bad. It doesn't take a lot of effort. Okay, I think that I'm happy with that layer now. So let's keep watching. And it says to let it dry and use a heat tool or a hair dryer or something to speed that up. So we're gonna take a pause for a second and let it dry. Okay, now that it's dry, we're gonna continue and we're gonna use the blue color to do kind of this edge shadowy. So kind of just go around the shadow part. And then just kind of scribble, for lack of a better word, scribble on some of this blue in the most shadowy part. And then less dense. So scribbled on. Now we're going to take the water pen and add water to everywhere that we want it to kind of have that darker shadow, so that it's going to bleed in to the wet. So trying to avoid touching it right now until I get that area wet like I want, and then once it's wet, then I can go in and touch it and it'll bleed. And then I just kind of need to blend it out and up, but the water is going to do most of the work here. Let's pause that for a second and finish this part. So just kind of going to bring that up and around, and then I'm going to go ahead and rinse the brush and add just a little bit more water. Try to get it to bleed a little bit more. Okay. Now bleed that up just a little bit more. Also, too much water. There we go. Okay, so I finished that spot, and now it says to rinse and then paint out the area that is going to be red. So I guess we're going to do red on this side. Just a little bit of water. Don't want to do too much. And then just touch the red paint to that area. It's already going to start bleeding out. And then just take the brush and touch that paint. Okay, pause. Okay, so I just now activate that paint a little bit and bring it down. Wet this area up and then touch it to let it bleed in to it a little bit more. Okay. I feel like that's not quite enough bleed. So add just a tiny bit more red here. Okay. It says blend it only as much as I want, so I guess that's fine. That's as much as I want. And then take the dark blue and lay down the paint to create the shadow. So the shadow is going to be the darkest, closest to the pear. And then use the water to spread that shadow out. So just kind of touch it and let it bleed out. And I want my shadow to go kind of all the way off the page over here, because I think that that looks the most natural. Stop. The videos are definitely kind of fast. Just have to pause it because they're speeding up through, like, nobody paints that fast. They're definitely speeding up through it. So just kind of watch what they do here. Okay, I think once it's dry, I'll probably go in and add a little bit deeper paint there. Okay, so then after that, it says to let it dry all the way. And then what are we gonna do? The stalk. It'll be shadowed on the left. So I'm gonna do Loxo. And then blend that out. Okay. I'm gonna get a little bit of a bleed out this way. And then take the darker color and just touch it in. And blend that out as well. I don't know. I don't think it's dark enough. Okay. Then it says add finishing touches. Make the shadow solid between the ground and the pear. Yeah, so I said I was going to do that. They agree. Okay. So there's definitely, looks a little bit more bleedy than mine. No, I don't know. That's not really probably a word, but that's okay. Because if we can't make up words in art, when else can we make up words, right? Okay, so I'm definitely gonna add a little bit more. I kind of like this wash technique. So let me see if I can add a better wash of this blue through here. So in theory, this is going to reactivate some of the paint underneath as well. And kind of maybe make it look a little bit less streaky too. I don't know. Kind of there we go. I mean, I definitely have like a nice highlight here, but I just feel like this dark is not doing what I want it to. So I guess I'll have to wait for that to dry again. But the same thing up here on this red. Let's kind of define that area around the stalk a little bit more. And then I think I want to do like that same kind of scribbly red just to bring it down a little bit more and give it a little bit more impact. So this is only me sort of following the tutorial. It's sort of just doing my own thing. You know, whatever. I'm using their colors though this time. So that's something, I guess. And I think this is going to make that highlight area look a little bit more impactful. I feel like I've said that word already, but it just seems fitting, I guess. So just kind of touch this red a little bit more. So now we're starting to see a little bit of kind of pilling, I feel like, of the paper, so that tells you that even though it absorbs the water well, it doesn't stand up super well to scrubbing. So it's not, you know, the best paper out there or anything, but I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be, but it's pretty good how it absorbs the water. So I'm still happy with it. Okay, now to go in and add a little bit more darkness to the stalk here. Let's try to make it look just a little bit more interesting. And then when you come down, there should be a little bit of a kind of shadow here, right? So maybe we'll do a little bit of red for kind of that shadow. And then I'm just gonna take this is almost a dry brush. Kind of take it and streak it in there. Just kind of touch it. Same here, just kind of touch it. Okay. Okay, I gotta let it dry just a little bit more again. All right, and then more of this blue around this edge, and I want to kind of define where that part of the edge is a little bit more, since I've made it bleed out a bit, quite a bit, and I kind of want to make this bottom shape a little bit more exaggerated there. So I think I'm just gonna do that scribbly thing again. That same technique. I kind of want it to come out a little bit more here. Okay. And then let's try this again. Okay, yeah, I definitely like that better. Now I'm gonna splatter because it's fun. So we're just gonna take a little bit of that. We're gonna take some of the red. We'll do a little of all the colors. Wait, did I even use that green? I guess I did. I don't remember using the green. Maybe I didn't. Well, we're gonna have some green splatters then. And then we're gonna get some nice like blooms and stuff here, because I'm dropping in some cleanish water also. Okay, some yellow right through the center. Now I kind of want to use a bigger brush to get some bigger splatters. Let's see if that works. That didn't really change anything. Let's use an even bigger brush. There we go. That's some bigger splatters. Maybe too big. We might have gone overboard with the splatters, but that's okay. Throw in some clean water down here and then splatter in some of this green. Okay, now if splatters are not your style, you're gonna hate this, but that's okay. I like the splattering just because it's super fun. And I like just a little bit of bleeding too, so like this, I'm cool with. It still gets kind of the overall impression of the shape in the pear. And then same with like some of these clean water blooms down here, same thing, right? It just adds some interest. So it's not the same as what they did, but it's my version of it. Overall, I really like these tutorials so far. They're very fun. So I'll keep doing them. So I finished the pear, and here is my version. It's a bit messy. I did some splattering like I did on the flower, which if you haven't seen it, you can check it out on my page, on my YouTube page. I have the first tutorial, which is a bird of paradise flower. Anyway, so I did some splattering, I did some layering, learned how to use the brush pens to make a large wash, so that was fun. Didn't follow it exactly, but went with the general instructions and how to create those washes, and I went with the colors that they suggested. I think that's probably my least favorite part about it. I don't know. The red, blue, and yellow, I don't know. I kind of wish it was green, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be realistic. It's art. It doesn't have to be realistic, and you can still tell that it's a pear, even though it's not green. But I kind of wish it was green. So maybe when I do the next one, I'll make it green. I don't know. We'll see. But if you did enjoy watching this, check out, again, more of my tutorials. I have watercolor. I have another one of these brush pens. I'll do more in the future. A little bit of acrylic. Also going to be working on getting more of those in. But I just really appreciate you watching and joining me on this art journey. So thank you, and have an awesome day.